It's your boys. Welcome back to another episode of Snapbacks and Fitted Caps. We on episode 9, I believe. So I got my boys here with me.
Eight.
What up, Mitch?
What up? What
How you
up?
doing?
What's going on, KP, man? I got my San Diego Padres. I'm repping Dre's team, but it's still Braves over here all day. Best team in the baseball, man. It's good to see my boy Mike back. Angry Mike is back. Glad to get my
Mad
boy
Mike,
back,
baby.
man.
Mad Mike.
Man, Mike.
Yeah.
How you doing though, KP? What's up with you, bro?
I'm good. Well, since you done got on Mad Mike, what's up, Mike? Welcome
Well,
back.
first,
I love it. First
first,
off, I like to say I'm happy that we got an episode that it's all 5 of us here again. So I'm
We
excited.
got the full core cast.
The full forecast. The full
that
foundation.
that was kind of foul when you said that. But anyway, I ain't mad today, man. I'm happy to be back with y'all, man. I'm mad I missed that last episode, but shit, life happened. I'm just representing the little plain Jane New York Yankees. It's still Tampa Bay though, even though we lost that series to Atlanta. It's still Tampa Bay.
Okay. Then I got my boy Keith with me. What up, Keith?
What's good with y'all, man? I'm Keith, for the Born the Bread, landed where I lay my head. Got on a simple Chicago Blackhawks joint. Ain't nothing much going on out here but being hot as shit.
Man.
Okay. I thought I was the only one, boy. It's bacon out this time.
95 today.
Hey, can I ask a question right quick?
He been
So
flaking.
we're doing intros.
All right, that worked.
Well, go ahead and ask your question.
No, I ain't gonna answer it. I ain't gonna ask it. I mean, I
I
ain't gonna ask it, Go ahead, Dre.
Okay.
I'll ask it
Go
after the
ahead,
intros.
Dre.
What's good? What's good, man? It's your boy Dre. I don't got them heat problems other people got. I live in internet California, so it's breezes and beaches out here. Got the
Okay.
I got the dad gang cap. That's all. What's up? What you
Okay.
saying, Mike?
I was just gonna ask a question. I ain't had the chance to ask these
I
questions.
mean, but let me go ahead and do my little intro real quick.
Oh, my
It's your
bad, my
boy KP, K to the, out here in hot ass Rancho Cucamonga. It's hot as, man, it's hot as shit out here, bro. It don't even make sense, man. Go ahead and ask your question, Mike. Go ahead.
I saw that last pod. I was just gonna ask Keith. He said that he had on just a fitted. It looked like you got a do-rag on. What you got a do-rag
You got
on
on
for,
a
my boy?
do-rag? You got on a
You got that
do-rag?
damn
That nigga,
do-rag on for,
that
my
nigga
boy.
got the
was
50
coming.
Cent get rich or die trying.
I knew that fucking shit was
And it look
coming.
extra tight too. Why you got that
Look.
do-rag on?
Listen. When he said he wasn't gonna show up, I was like, I'm gonna wear the hat with the do-rag. I
I
wasn't
was
switching because you was coming on. I knew
Oh,
it was.
man.
I
I
knew
was
it
just
was
asking.
ensuing. I knew
I
what
was just
ensued.
asking.
Yes,
Nah.
nigga.
So, man, just thinking about the internet and stuff like that, man, I think that cancel culture, like the society right now, is extremely sensitive, in my opinion. And it don't allow you no room for mistakes, man. You gotta be on top of your game. Even as when we're doing this pod, I think that sometimes we don't say the things that we want to say because you got to be careful. You don't want to be canceled. So, what's your ideas on cancel culture? Like, do I think that stuff is good for? Because one thing that I notice is, especially for the black community, we are real good at canceling ourselves, man. We hold our people to hold their feet to the fire, man. And I don't see that with the other ethnicities and things like that where they canceling people. I mean, look at your boy Elvis. Your boy Elvis ain't had a blemish on his record yet. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your ideas on cancel culture? And I mean, do y'all think that stuff is positive or what?
Who you want to go first?
You
It
got it,
don't
Mitch.
even matter, man.
Man, to kick it off, I think cancel culture in general was started as a good thing. You know what I'm saying? To cancel people. But now, like, people have weaponized it and they use it as a weapon and they don't show any grace or anything. So, with that situation, it's like it started off as being a good thing, but now it's totally a bad thing. Like the way they use it on people, it's not right. I really think that people should show each other more grace. We make mistakes as humans, and I think we just need to show each other more grace. You know what I'm saying? Like the grace that, like, if you're a habitual offender, okay, fine, cancel this person. You know what I'm saying? If you do something that's really bad and egregious, I can understand being canceled, but like the Jonathan Majors situation, is that something to really cancel about? Like, I don't know how accurate that is. That man he ain't even been on trial yet, and people's already canceling them.
No,
But then
he on
you, like
trial.
you said, okay, so he's on trial now. But then you got a situation like the Ezra cat. I mean, I guess he did get canceled because the Flash flopped, but is he really canceled? Like,
Still got a job.
I don't hear
Yeah,
nobody
that's
talking
that
about
that.
it like Jonathan Majors.
hmm hmm Yeah. So when you say that it started off as a good thing, where do you think, like, because one thing that stood out for me is it really held. I think that I started to notice cancel culture when it came to like police brutality and stuff like that. You know, like, oh, this happened. Hey, who is this? We gonna make him famous and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, it just started dwindling down to like entertainers. You know, if you say anything about a certain group, I ain't even gonna say it. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't even feel comfortable with saying certain things because you don't even feel like
Freedom of
what is it
speech,
gonna
in
do
a
for me?
sense, is on
Yeah,
the brink
yeah,
of not really, you know what I'm saying? You got to be careful how you word yourself. You got to be careful how you talk. Sometimes I'll be watching this show, I'm like, damn, I said a lot of, but that's how I talk. And like people that know me, they know it's coming from a real place. It's from a genuine place. So, you know what I'm saying? If I'm on here saying bitch and this, and that, or nigga, like it ain't coming from no evil place. Like that's just maybe how I talk. But
hmm,
nowadays, you got to really be careful about how you word yourself and how you present yourself to the world. And it's almost like freedom of speech is on the brink. Like you really can't really, you know what I'm saying, be opinionated to a certain degree, because if not, they're gonna turn you into a, well, they can't cancel Boosie. They ain't been able to cancel Boosie, and they've been trying for a long time. So, what you feel about
yeah.
it, Mike? What you think?
I mean, I agree with everything you kind of just said, but it ain't going nowhere. That's the thing. Cancel culture ain't going nowhere.
Hmm.
That younger generation, man, they done latched on to that. And any form of pure rejection, they think that's the worst thing in the world, man. So the problem is the things that we canceling people for. Like we canceling people, like you said, with Jonathan Majors before we even went through the trial, and then even if he come on the other side of it and he's exonerated, he still might have some issues as far as being canceled. So we canceling
Hmm.
people off rumors, we canceling people off a tweet, we canceling people off of things that might be misinterpreted. We just got to be a little more deliberate with it. In my mind, it ain't going nowhere. It's just called something new. Like I don't think that this is a new thing. It's just coined canceling somebody, and some people just can't be canceled, man. I really just believe
So
that.
Cool,
you brought up a good
cool.
point. Let me just ask this question. You said that it's been, so you think it's been around like in the 90s and the early 2000s? You think cancel culture existed? Can you give me an example of cancel culture existing in the 90s and the early 2000s?
Uh, I can't give you an example, but I give you a reason why I say that. So I liken canceling to um, if a company did something. So companies make money off of like the Disneys and the Nikes. They make money off of purpose. People actually buy Nike because of they think they have a purpose that they agree with, right? um what tends to happen is when companies fail, those major companies, is because they don't took a direction or a stance with a person, a lot of times with presidential elections and stuff like that, or councilmen or senators, any of that, and people will decide not to. I give you one. You made me think of that. Jordan. So why did Jordan say, I ain't about to say nothing about nobody, pretty much? Because everybody buys shoes. So he took the stance of, I ain't gonna offend nobody because I don't want to be canceled. I don't want these people not to buy my stuff. I want everybody to buy my stuff. It's the same type thing. We just ain't call it canceled. It's the
I
same
don't think
thing.
that was canceling. I think that was just, I want to sell shoes and I don't want to offend nobody. I don't, because
That's
That's the same. Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's the same thing.
yeah,
That's
that's
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Like you don't want to offend nobody because you know that everybody loved Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So just
Nah,
imagine like, nah, man. Like think about like the fans. The fans love Jordan. If he went against all other ethnicities and he was just on some like on some black power shit, bro. Nah,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Them sales would have just
yeah.
went down.
Yep.
That's a good
no,
ass
it wasn't.
example, man.
They was
Or if
still
it was
gonna buy them
perceived,
shoes, man. They still was gonna
or
buy them Jordans.
not necessarily, man, or if it was a perceived, it was perceived like he went against them, because what happened was he wouldn't actually back the Democrat that was in North Carolina. But the reason he didn't want to back a Democrat is because why? He didn't want to be attached to the ideals of that Democrat. And then you have people who might be voting Republican that say, hey, Jordan on their side, we're not buying that. And it's people who will do that. So that's the same type of thing. I think it's just been going on. It just hasn't been social media around where immediately when somebody does something, it can say, hey, this person canceled. They did X, Y, and Z. So it's just a different platform to where it get to you faster, but it's the same thing.
Dre, you think that's the same thing?
Okay.
You think that Jordan situation is the same thing as cancel culture?
I feel like it is more brand awareness. I feel like it was in response not to cancel culture, but to like make sure they don't enter into that area. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that is cancel culture. If I had to say something was cancel culture, well, first off, before I say anything, man, free R. Kelly, because they took the dog, bro.
Oh,
But
hey, I don't know about
I
that.
don't agree with that
I don't
shit.
agree with none of that.
Hey,
nah,
I don't
nah.
agree
Well,
with
all
R.
right,
None
Kelly.
of that
Listen
shit.
to
I
R.
do.
Kelly. I'm glad you said that, but
That's a
I
wild
give
I,
him
nigga.
that.
I'll say this
That's a
then. If
wild
if
nigga.
I understand why he said that.
if you ain't going to free him, then give him a studio in the prison at least. Let him keep making them bangers. But I would say if I'm talking about cancel culture, I feel like the first victim that
A studio?
hey man,
And he do need a studio though, because he probably writing some of the illest shit ever right now. Like the shit that he
man,
writing in prison right now is probably fantastic, bro. Oh
man.
my
But
god.
I would say the first victim that I seen of actual cancel culture before it got popular was Mike Tyson. I feel like that was
That's right.
definitely
Mm,
cancel culture. They stripped him of
okay,
his
that's a good
belts,
point.
man. They had Buddy out here looking bad. I mean, he really had to bounce back from that. Luckily, it was before it got popular. I still don't think he really did what they said he did, but you know, he did his paid his debt to humanity and all that. But
You don't think Mike Tyson raped that girl?
nah, man,
I don't either.
come
Oh,
on,
he
bro.
took that shit. All right. He took that
Um,
shit.
Nah.
Watch that Mike Tyson series. He pretty much admitted that he did it, but didn't admit it. He did that
he,
shit.
he
But,
he admit that he basically got himself painted into a corner where he couldn't.
well, I mean, it's kind of.
But
I'm not. Let me. I was about to
I mean,
say
I
something.
wasn't there, so
I was about to
I'm
say I'm
not
about
gonna
to be
say.
victim blaming,
I
but
just know what I mean. I don't got no problem victim blaming, but I just don't
I
personally.
mean,
I don't personally think that. I wasn't there, so I can't say he did it or did not do it. I'm telling you what I think. I don't think he did it. And hey, I mean, don't show up to my room at 3 a.m. What you doing? Don't come over here, bro. But
ain't too much conversations being had at 3
he
a.m.
said
bro,
Dre saying a lot of shit that I agree with, but I
yeah,
definitely yeah.
you want to let him say
that's
I
fine.
want I want to
Don't show
get
up
to
at 3 a.m.
Keith.
to my room.
Yeah, Keith. What's the deal?
I mean, I used to always, in the beginning, think it was just a reason for a group of people to get somebody out of here that they ain't like any little move or any little thing they say. Because I know people are a lot more sensitive to words these days than we were when I was probably like younger. I was thinking back to what Mitch was talking about, the group of guys at the concert talking, the older guys with the wild shit. We might not have thought nothing of it, but now, like a lot of them, a lot of people would have been got out of here if it would have been really like it is today. And shit, I was thinking whenever y'all was talking, hell, I was thinking the same thing Dre was talking about with the Mike Tyson shit. That was exactly what happened to him. But I don't I don't know, man, because I don't think it's that serious. Because a lot of people come back from it, and some of the people that do get canceled, hell, some of them kind of deserve that shit. It might not been to the extent. It might not
Like
been to
who?
the. I
Oh,
mean,
definitely some people that deserve to be canceled.
Oh
like
yeah.
that shit. Like that shit
I'm
with
just
the
asking.
baby. Like didn't the baby? The main reason why they got him out of here was because of that concert he did, right? When he was talking about, I don't know the exact words, but wasn't it about, he was saying some homophobic shit and some shit about people with AIDS, right?
Yeah.
Or am I
Yeah.
wrong?
Yep.
Yeah. No, he said some shit like that. You're right.
I mean, I can
We're
think,
not gonna quote it,
man,
but you know what he said.
he got people that, like, you can be outspoken as you want to be, just some shit just,
Ain't that freedom of speech? I was just about to say, isn't that freedom of speech, though?
yeah, I don't have nothing against freedom of speech, but sometimes you need to know not when to use that.
I mean, I also felt like he was targeting like a certain demographic of people, and I don't never think that's right to do. Like
It ain't.
what I was saying with Mike, I feel like he was targeted, like people was
Yeah,
preying
yeah,
on him. I feel
yeah.
like that he
I feel like the
necessarily
Mike Tyson. I think that's a good example that you. I think it's better than the Jordan, but I think Tupac would be a better example
think
because I don't think Tupac raped that girl. I think Tupac got set up, and I think you know what I'm saying. He got
Definitely
canceled
did.
off of that situation. So I would agree. I would agree with you. You know what I'm saying. It was happening, I guess, in the '90s. I think it was different. I think cancel culture actually was really created for the Karens, though. Y'all don't think it was created for like the Karens and all the shit they was doing, like the lady with the bird watcher when she did that bullshit and claimed dude was, you know what I'm saying, harassing her and
Out
all
there
he
doing
was
some
doing
dumb
was
shit.
outside looking at birds.
I don't
That
remember
shit to
that.
me is like I feel like the
It was in New
Karen
York. I remember
situation.
that.
I feel like the Karen situations is what propelled cancel culture to another level. And then people learn how to weaponize it because they was able to get people fired. You know what I'm saying? People started looking up people's addresses and doxing them and shit, exposing their jobs, and then that shit became a weapon. Oh, you know what I'm saying? You said what? Oh, okay. And then they start pulling up the receipts and boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that shit creates groupthink. So all you need is a couple people to keep pushing that agenda or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If they want to, whoever they want to get canceled, as long as they keep pushing that shit, you're gonna have people gravitate towards it. And before you know it, you got a whole mob that's ready to get you out the paint because you said some shit that they didn't like. But I really think it started with the Karen shit, and niggas just learn how to weaponize it.
You said so. Actually, all y'all said some good things. I think that when we talk about uh, how society has changed, to me, what happens a lot of times is when people get in trouble, what's the first thing that they do? They go digging into your past. They start pulling up old tweets. They start looking at your old Facebook pages, and that shit is unfair to me, man. Because we all like Facebook does a great thing, and it shows you like what you was doing this day 5 years ago. And sometimes I'll be
Man,
looking at some of the posts that I had posted 5 years ago, and I was like, "But what was I on? Like, what was I
Bro,
on? Like,
yo,
I must
please
have
don't
had a
dig into
rough
my
day."
past.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I think that shit is completely unfair. First and foremost, you know what I'm saying? Because, well, I mean, obviously with age you grow, and you don't have the same mindset that you have. And when we think about society and stuff like that, man, I do think that it was great for the black culture to kind of like when the police brutality was happening and stuff like that. Hey, we about to make you famous. Like you out here doing nut ass shit. Like, hey, this is the officer, and because I think that without that, had that shit had we not been posting that shit, flashing that shit, reposting it, a lot of these cats would have got off. So that's great. You know what I'm saying? My boy said free R. Kelly. I don't know. Here's what I would say. I never watched to chasing the
Happy
R.
people.
Kelly or whatever that
I
whatever
didn't
that
listen to
shit was called, Freedom from R. Kelly. I didn't I didn't want to watch that shit because I'm still bump that nigga music. That nigga is the most talented R&B singer of all times, bro. It's nothing that, and I hate that I can't listen to it with certain people, like my girl. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, like you gotta separate. It's only entertainment, like bro.
that's
You gotta
real.
separate. You gotta separate entertainment, like because. because if you really are on that psyche of what this person do outside of entertainment, I'm gonna hold their feet to the fire. Then don't listen to Aaliyah. First off, one of Aaliyah's albums is all R. Kelly.
Hey, ain't nothing
You know
but
what
a
I'm saying?
number.
So how you gonna be like, I don't want to support him, but then you listen to R. Kelly or you listen to a lot of shit that this man wrote. You shouldn't support him. You know what I'm
Changing
saying?
faces.
And
All
yeah,
that.
man. And I think that
I don't think it's a lot of people listening
when
and
I
changing
thought about
faces right now.
the topic, man, when I thought about this topic, I thought about movies. When I thought about that whole Me Too thing. And I don't know about y'all, but movies ain't popping like they used to pop. When Weinstein and all them other cats was out here writing movies and directing movies. Like, y'all counseling a lot of people. Who's old boy from um American Beauty, the weirdo.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
That boy is fun. I don't care what y'all think. That boy can act
Man,
his ass off. That boy can act his ass off. But one thing that I've noticed in all parts of our discussion, we naming black people after black people after black people that's being canceled. You think about Jonathan Majors, you know what I'm saying, and there's a lot that's coming out now that he's on trial. That the boy might shake. Them charges might fall down because there's a lot about that was made up, and that I think NYPD or something like that had something against him. But you have your boy Ezra that's still out here making movies that wasn't canceled. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like black people just hold. I think that we hold each other and we kill each other before. Bro, I'm still bumping Tory Lanez. I'm still bumping R. Kelly. It's I just think that we got to do a better job with separating entertainment and what people do
I feel
on
you
their
to a
off time.
degree, KP, but that's a delicate line. You got to be careful.
Here's a perfect example for the people that were in the military. One thing that I always hated, and I'm glad, man, it just popped up into my head. I hated that they gave military spouses the idea that if I cheat on you, I could get in trouble. I could possibly get kicked out of the army.
Mhm.
What does my cheating? What does my cheating have to do with my soldiership? Not you don't agree? Oh, never mind, Dre. Yeah, Dre on some other shit. I forgot.
I didn't say
I feel
that.
like
I was trying to see where it was
because I know
going.
that you was the snitch. So so
Damn.
so what I'm saying is,
I
what
never
does
understood
what
that.
does
I
a
I never
was
soldier
trying to
understood
see
that.
where
what
it
does
was
a
going.
what does
That
a
ain't
soldier's what does a soldier cheating have to do with his ability to lead his soldiers, his ability to be a great leader? Like that's not a reflection. Like that should be
It's
what
saying
I
your
do
character
on my
though.
off
It's a
time.
reflection
It's
of
a
integrity,
character
though.
thing.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it is
not.
a
your
reflection
integrity
of
and your
integrity.
character.
But they done
No, it's
changed
not.
that though. They done changed that though. So if it's not actually detrimental to, and it got to actually be something that's happening to
Like a
actually stop
scandal.
that person, stop that person from being able to lead. Um, they're not pursuing that no more. However, it
Because
does go
people
to your
gonna fuck.
integrity. It does go to your integrity as a person.
It do.
I don't think so.
I think it does. I mean,
I firmly disagree. What I
that's
do
like
on my
saying that
off time don't have. Go ahead.
I'm not talking about the job. I'm talking about individually,
Yeah,
just
your
your integrity as a
individual
person.
yeah, it's a
integrity.
character flaw. It's a character flaw. And I guess you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You got to put those character flaws into equation.
Y'all
Nah, I'm just
pies
I get
right
saying.
what
there.
he's saying.
Y'all
I'm
pies.
No,
being
I'm speaking on
Y'all
just
pies.
the theoretically of the fact that what you were saying, you saying as far as like with cancel culture, man, like you got to be careful with that shit. Like some people deserve to be canceled, man. We can't like
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
hard to separate entertainment from real life when people out here doing fucked up shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not even
So like,
entertainers, just people in general. Like
yeah.
yeah,
Epstein.
that too.
Imagine if
But I'm
Epstein.
just speaking on
Imagine
the
if
fact that he
Epstein.
was saying like
Oh, okay.
entertainment versus, you know what I'm saying? That's only part
Yeah.
I'm touching there. But I agree with you in general, you know, cancel culture, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is like far as the entertainer and what they did, like sometimes that shit is like the one cat Weinstein, Hell no,
Yeah.
he don't never. He need to lock his ass. I hope he die in that motherfucker. He deserve it. Like all that shit he doing, raping men and women, and all that sexual abuse shit. That shit was sick and
Thinking man,
demented. Like,
but
Yeah, man.
man, that
Epstein,
shit
all the
demented. Like you don't get no. That's a character flaw. So
I
we gotta think
mean,
about
if
that.
we talking about people that are non-black, we talking about other people too, like J.K. Rowling. You know, it ain't no more Harry Potter movies. You know what I'm saying? Because she spoke out and she said that sex is a real thing, and people took it as she was saying it because she backed it up with other stuff. Took it as if she was against trans. So ever since then, there has been no more Harry Potter movies. So it's not just a black thing. I think that because we're
it's
in,
I think that we lead in the cancel culture when it comes to I agree
I
because
think
there are
I
some
think that's just
people.
what we know.
Yeah.
We're black, so we're
yeah.
gonna know
I
more
pay more
black
attention to
artists
the
and more
black
black
people
people.
than I
Yeah,
do.
like I'm not really
Okay.
reading up on what they got going on, but I
I
know
think
they do have. But what you gonna say, Mike? My bad.
I was saying I think that we leading because we lead as far as consumer. So we the highest consumer in the country.
Okay.
So it
I like
appears
that.
as though we are the one that's leading it, but we're not the ones that stopped Harry Potter from being made. Trust me. We're not the ones that stopped her from being able to produce another best-selling book. It's not us. So it's not just a black or white thing or Asian or Mexican. It's a American thing. Like they canceling everybody, man. I mean, I think it's an accountability thing.
So, how do y'all feel about people that they try to cancel and they bounce back? Like they try to cancel Chrisette Michelle just because she sang at
I don't know who
Trump's.
that is.
See, that was stupid to me. That was a
Chrisette
stupid way to
Michelle
try
is
to
an
cancel
R&B
somebody.
singer. Basically, she got picked to sing at Trump's inauguration, and people was
Aston Martin
mad about
music.
that. Yeah, I mean, she cold. She sing a lot of good
Rick
songs, but
Ross Aston Martin music song. I know
not
he
even
know
only
that.
that though.
Oh, okay.
She sang, yeah. She sang
Yeah,
Because
R&B.
That's
they
she
say
did.
they
thanks,
Good.
they
Mike,
asked her
because
to
I'm
do
lost.
they asked her to do the inauguration, and people canceled her about that. Like was like, nah, we ain't fucking with
And
Chrisette
what it
Michelle.
was,
She's
somebody
singing at
turned it
Trump.
down before her. Somebody turned it down before her, so they got on her even worse. Somebody else black turned it down before her.
But it's
I
like,
don't
why y'all
I
gonna
don't
be
think
mad
people
at
should
this
have
lady
to.
for getting money?
It ain't about the money, it's exposure too. I don't think anybody
That
should
too.
have to turn down an
That's money.
opportunity, because if we start saying that our artists need to turn down or our entrepreneurs, anything, need to turn down an opportunity so that they're not canceled, we canceling ourselves because we telling ourselves that we can't take on certain opportunities. If you look at what she did, she went to go sing at the White House for the president. It's not
Yeah,
even for the person. I mean, if you really see, you think it's not for the person, it's for the president. It don't matter if that was whomever. I mean, people go there to sing all the time, and it's just an opportunity. I think I don't have no issue with her going to do it.
So you think
Yeah,
people's souls
Zeke
should be
said
for
it
sale?
best. You messing up my opportunities. You
You're right.
know what
Say
I'm
what?
I said you think
saying? I
people's
said
souls should
Zeke
be for
said it
sale?
best.
What does that have to
Wait,
do
what'd you
with your
say?
soul being for sale?
Well, I'm
No, I
saying
don't
you.
think. I don't think you should sell your soul, but I don't think selling your soul is going to go
Well, you
do
said for
what.
an opportunity, but I mean, you name that one. But I mean, what if it's another more detrimental one, or one that
Like
was
what?
more? Let's say your favorite artist was got approached to do George Zimmerman's wedding. You cool with that?
Nah, that's a, so look.
I mean, but
That's a little
that's what
bit.
I'm saying though. I mean,
I see what you're saying, though, Dre. It's
Yeah,
equivalent
yeah,
of
it's
the
a
but
same thing,
possibility.
pretty much.
yeah, but they moral
Some people
compass
don't
ain't on
like.
mine. Then they ain't got the right moral compass, in my opinion. If they can't distinguish between those two, like this dude done out here to murder somebody and going around talking about it, and you about to go do a concert for him or do a performance
That's
for
what
him?
I'm saying.
Nah.
But he about to
I'm
pay him a
But I
saying
mean,
million.
no,
I got this meal for you.
it's
You ain't gonna take this meal?
it's the same. It's the
no.
same thing. See, this is what's confusing to me.
Yeah, that
We pick
motherfucker
and choose
afforded
when
it.
it's only entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Because look at when we think about entertainment and
He gonna
documentaries.
take that
What
million.
was the what was the last documentary that was popping? That what's the little white boy that was eating up people?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey
Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Jeffrey. Bro, that thing blew the hell up. The dude won awards off of that. So how is it that we could watch something like that and like really just tune in and understand that this is just entertainment? We just figured a lot of people was sitting there watching it, the dude winning awards and stuff like that, but we can't do the same thing with entertainers like for something stupid that they may say without thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not thinking about the repercussions of your actions, and that's where I don't like it. Like because America is engulfed in tragedy. It's a lot of documentaries where we're gonna go back, we're gonna grab the other documentary that I watched that was fire
So
was
you're saying that are you saying that the actor that did the Jeffrey Dahmer shouldn't have got recognized for his acting ability in that
what
thing
I'm
because it's
saying
tied
is
to
we tied something that was so tragic and that was so like, bro, this was scary, man. We think about the D shooter, you know what I'm saying? And we create we create documentaries, miniseries, and we make millions off of tragedy, off of something that was just disgusting and heinous, and we chalk it up as, hey, this is entertainment. But you can't do the same thing with somebody just, a microphone being put in their face and they not thinking a lot of times, and they say things without thinking. I can't agree with. I think that we do have to understand, like going back to what you said. If they're a habitual line stepper, then that's something different. But
yeah.
and even then, like me, bro, what you do on your off time don't have nothing to do with me. Like, bro, are you putting out fire? Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna support the fire, but all the other hoopla, I'm not gonna support.
No matter what,
I feel what you're
if it's
saying.
fire, no matter what, you gonna support them.
If it's
No matter what
fire,
they
it's
doing personally.
fire, bro. Free R.
No, I'm
Kelly.
just,
I
I,
mean,
I
you can
understand.
separate.
I understand
No,
what he's saying.
I'm
He's
just
trying to
asking.
separate the actor. So he's saying like, regardless of what the person character is about, then when they're an entertainer is totally different. So if they're a great actor, or if they're a great musician or a great basketball player, when they on that court doing that shit, all I care about is them doing that. Now, when they outside of that and they're being themselves, that ain't got nothing to do with me because all I care about is the entertainment. That's basically what KP is saying in a nutshell. Some people can't differentiate that. You know what I'm saying? I think, and
It's
then
not
also
can't. Some
because,
people don't want to. There's a difference between can't and not wanting to.
well, I
So
mean, a little bit of both.
I'm saying because some people don't want to do that. I'm not necessarily saying it's me, but some people care about
Some people
what
are just
people
stands of
are
their
as
of their
people.
of their artists.
Nah, they
Like
don't
they
gotta
they
be a
like
stand.
somebody so much that they just gonna be a excuse maker for them. You got people that make
Huh?
excuses for people that they like,
That
regardless.
would
You know what I'm
then be
saying?
the
Like,
reverse. That would then be the person who is saying that I don't care what they're doing. I still like what they do in their profession. What I'm talking about is people who care about the character of the people that they are consuming from. I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying that
mhm.
there are people who are like that, who genuinely care. Okay, well, did R. Kelly rape these people? I don't know if I I don't know if I can listen to this if this is something that's the case. I'm not saying I'm
So
that
why
person.
are
I'm not
so
saying I'm
why are
not.
those why do those same people watch these murder documentaries, watch these true stories of horror crime, and you
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 talking
doing nothing but, I mean,
Because they look at it
that's
as
entertainment.
education or as history.
Come
It's
on,
like
bro.
a case file. So
You
it's
know,
more like
people
a
are
history
curious.
thing. Like some people are
If
like
you
history.
if
They
you
like
don't
the
want to if you don't support that type of activity, then don't support it across the board. In my opinion, if you think that what this person did was so heinous that I don't want to support, and I don't want to do any, I don't want to give no, I don't want to set my eyes or listen to anything that have anything to do with this person, then be that way across the board. Like don't pick and choose.
I
Don't
think
pick and choose, man.
I think it's disingenuous to say that there aren't people who do it across the board. Are we talking about particular people? And if we're only talking about people that we know,
I
then
know
okay,
particular people that do that.
okay. Well, then maybe they should do that. But I'm pretty sure that
yeah.
there are people who just cut people off, period, and cut things off, period, because of what they feel on their moral compass is a no go. or it's something that they can't deal with, and it don't matter what their product actually is. So I just wanted to put that out there because it's a different perspective. Even though I might still listen to the music, I might be able to say I don't really care about what's going on in their personal life. It matters to some people.
That's true. I think people just need to have more grace overall. Everything is a case by case scenario. You can't rap every, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, like Drake, like, you know what I'm saying? He fuck with R. Kelly. He said he want him out. I ain't
I
mad at
mean,
that. That's your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he said he ain't know
it
how to
don't
hog
bother
tie
me.
nobody. I believe him.
What the whole time?
I ain't never hold. But
I don't fuck with it
you
across
know
the
what I'm saying?
board.
Every it's a case by case scenario. I think people should have more
Whoa.
grace overall for people in the situations, because it's like one mistake and you out of there. You know what I'm saying? People got to walk on eggshells. You got to be careful. Like, even now, as we record this pod, I got to be careful about how I say certain things. Y'all might know where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? We might laugh and joke about something that I said, but somebody else hears me say it, and now they're like offended by it. And now we have a whole issue, you know what I'm saying, of something that really was misconstrued. You know what I mean? And then, like how you were saying earlier, like how people go back and search people's tweets. I was a different person 10 years ago. I was a different person 15 years ago. I ain't that same person. I've evolved. I've grown. So, you know what I mean? Like the shit they did with Kevin Hart. He wanted to do the Oscars. That was probably like his dream, I think. And motherfuckers found some old ass tweets and was like, "Oh no, you homophobic and this and that." When he's a comedian, a fucking comedian, and you can't even, you know what I'm saying, be opinionated on Twitter. Because back in '09, Twitter was wild. Social media was wild. You can say whatever the fuck you wanted to on social media, and people either laughed or they didn't. And if they didn't laugh, you argued and debated about it. It was just, it is what it was. Like, now it's like everybody's so sensitive. You got to walk on eggshells. You got to be very careful how you word things. Like, when I
You
type
get
things out
canceled.
now, I be thinking about how I word it and how I'm going to say it, and all that type of shit. Before, I used to just post, click and post. I don't care. See me. You know what I'm saying? But now, at this stage of my life, I'm just like, I'm more cautious about things that I say and how I say it, because you just never know if you're gonna be the next person on that Summer Jam screen getting canceled.
Key,
You know,
what did you say? You said you don't mess with
I said I
males
don't
across
fuck.
the board?
No, I don't fuck like how you was talking about the Jeffrey. How you said how Mike was talking about
Oh, okay.
some the ingenuous. I don't fuck with it across the board because a lot of it I was never really into before the nigga was canceled, so it don't even really bother me like that. I never
Who
wanted to
you
watch
talking
the
about?
Jeffrey, like R. Kelly music. I haven't listened to R. Kelly music since I was in my 20s. So I mean, I know the shit good, but
That's a sad life.
I, sometimes we live that. Sometimes we live that, man. But I ain't never. And the Jeffrey Dahmer shit, I never want to see that because I remember when that shit happened. I remember seeing the real court shit on the news with the parents of the victims and shit. I remember the black lady that went nuts in the courtroom. So I ain't want to see that acted out. And then I knew they
I couldn't
was
even watch it.
focusing more on the victims. So it was like, nah, I'm good. I take everybody's word for it. It was great, but I'm good with being left out of shit, even though everybody seemed like they interested. So when they cancel, a lot of the people that's canceled, I don't even really realize they canceled after the fact. The Ezra guy, I didn't, but yeah, I don't follow them like that. If they did if they was rightfully canceled, I can understand it. But if they were wrongfully canceled, sometimes that shit is extra.
hey, I got a question for Mitch. Mitch, you brought up like grace, but ain't like with grace it's a balancing act. So if we want people to have more grace for people, then shouldn't people also have more compassion? So, and if
Yeah,
people were able to
yeah.
do both of those things, we really wouldn't have, in an ideal world, which would never happen, we wouldn't have no cancel culture, right? But I think what you're saying is, I think people should be more deliberate with their voice because it's powerful, especially people who are in positions of power. I'm not just talking about entertainers, I'm talking about across the board. They should be more deliberate with the things that they are saying because it matters and people are following them. And just like you said, that group think, people retweet the same thing, and then people start thinking like that. So it's important that we distinguish between whether it's a mistake when somebody says something or if it's deliberate, because there's a lot of times that tweets are deliberate. I
But
won't
how do you
really
do
name
that?
no names on that.
So how do
When
you do that
they
though?
when they back up the tweets with other things and
because things can get lost in
continue.
translation. And once them pitchforks is out, it's kind of hard to recover from that. Like people coming with the apology statement. You know what I'm saying?
Certain tweets don't get lost in translation. When you telling people to overtake the country, that ain't out of context.
But we need to liven the mood up.
That's direct. We do. But that's cancel culture.
I mean,
Let's cancel this conversation.
Cancel all.
I mean,
right?
but Mitch had brought up a interesting thing when he was talking about, like, 5-10 years ago, I'm a different person, which brought me to the idea, to the thoughts of, like, what's like a learned behavior that was kind of like hard for you to shake over time, like, and maybe you still battling it, maybe you still trying to figure out how to, how to shake those learned behaviors. What's one of the 1, 2, 3, however many y'all got that's been hard for y'all to kind of shake? Whoever
Dre,
want to
you
go
want to
first.
go? You want to lead off, Drew?
I can't. Drew.
No, you did. No, you did.
No, I did. I did say Dre. I was just leaning down when I said it, so it sounded like.
I feel like a learned behavior I had to learn how to break. Honestly, disrespecting women. I feel like that's a learned behavior. That was something that was taught to me consciously and subconsciously growing up. I really had to work hard to get out of that mindset of just like consciously and subconsciously disrespecting women.
On what level were you disrespecting women?
On all levels.
Yeah, because I'm thinking Dre over here like, bitch, shut up.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
oh, you was like that. Oh, this nigga.
I mean, younger me. Yeah, I used to be on some wild stuff. But I mean, like I said, I was raised up listening to Too Short, Sugar Free. I mean, my dad was definitely out in the streets. A lot of female companions and all that stuff. It's one of those things, man. Like coming up, I can see like through my relationships now, looking back, that like, man, I was really on some wild stuff, and some stuff I thought was cool, but it was because of everything that I was consuming made me basically feel like it was cool for me to treat women as less than. And I feel like you like, especially now, like when I see my daughter, and I be thinking like, man, what if a dude was on the same time I was on when I was younger? So yeah, I feel like that was one of the things that it was hard for me to break away from.
Is that what helped you? Like having a daughter, is that what helped you, or what?
No, I feel like I was already on that path prior to. I mean, yeah, I feel like I was already on that path prior to. It definitely enhanced it, but.
So was it something that just gradually happened as you got older, or it was just like you was like these results are not working? Like,
it wasn't necessarily. It wasn't necessarily results. I mean, it was more so the people, the way I was seeing people interact with my people. So I mean, I got a lot of sisters. I've obviously been married a few times. I used to work with my previous wife. We was both in the military, and I would see how she would go through the same stuff I would go through. And it was just so much easier for me. And then, but like me just observing it and actually being able to hear her side and see the other side too. I was like, man, they really just treating her like this just because she a female. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, especially in the Army, because like it's more prevalent. I feel like in the Army, especially for Black women, but it's not just Black women. Because I have a lot of white friends that I seen also go through trial and tribulation just because they weren't men. You know what I mean? It was just like, man, like we really just be out here just disrespecting these women like they less than on a grand scale, and it's really not the case. Like that's really not cool. Like when you once you realize it, once you know better.
So what did you do to what was your changes that you had in that behavior, since it something different now that you
getting away from the group think? I mean, because a lot of it is group think. You know what I mean? A bunch of dudes get together and they automatically dismissing women. Like my son's mother now, she's a mechanic in the Army. So I mean, I'm always seeing, you know what I mean, like how it negatively impacts her. Like when I talk to her all the time, she like shares stories, stuff I seen. But yeah, I'm getting away from groupthink, being able to stand on my own, being cool with being called a herb and a lame. Because when you don't go with the crowd, everybody gonna point
Exactly.
fingers and call names. But I mean, when you know what you stand for, then it really don't bother you. Like earlier, KP said I was a snitch. I guess I'll be that.
Niggas a rat bubbles over here.
That's much respect, though. That's much respect, though,
Speaking to the
Dre.
flower. Speaking to the flower.
Nigga putting red caps on people.
You got one on right now.
Y'all know y'all live, right?
It's
Look,
orange.
he got you.
It's orange.
Nah, hey, I think that's beautiful, Dre. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's beautiful because that's I think culturally, we don't value as a whole. I don't think we value women as much as we should. And that's not. I'm not talking about black culture. I'm talking about American culture. We don't value women as much as we should.
Very true.
Um, for me, is I was always taught when I was growing up to keep it real. Stay down, stay the same. Don't change up. And that's something I had to get rid of, man. Because when in my mind, when you stay down, you don't change, you stay the same, you don't actually evolve as a person. And I think that we are dynamic people. And just because in one environment, you may, in order for you to get that opportunity or to go further, you have to actually express one side of yourself more than the other. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're not keeping it real, because we're not just one-sided people. We got more to that than more than I'm more than just this podcast. I'm more than just when I go to work. Y'all more than all that. So um that group thing that Dre was talking about, that's difficult because that peer pressure when you're young, and not even from like your friends, but from your household, really just saying, don't forget about where you came from. And you know what they mean when they saying that. They saying, you know, uh stay the same
So
pretty much. Keep it
what are
real.
you saying is the learned behavior that you have
The learned
had an issue with?
behavior, is to specifically. So if I tell you I'm gonna do something, right? I done had to get away from people who mix up holding me accountable with pretty much trying to keep me in a box. And what I mean by that is, if I tell somebody, if they supposed to be my partner, and I tell somebody that, hey, I think I'm gonna quit this job, you know, and then a week go by and I don't quit the job. And they tried to hold my feet to the fire of, well, you said you was gonna do X, Y, and Z, but it's not for a reason that's actually gonna advance me as a person. I'm not around them people. I don't even talk to them people. So, and I think that happens a lot, whether we know it or not, because people will say that they're holding you accountable when really they're not seeing the bigger picture of, well, maybe you reassessed and you got more information and you've changed your mind.
You're
Like
doing what you're
it
doing
was
for a
it was
reason.
hard for you as a black man to even change your mind. Because if you change your mind, then you ain't real. You fake. So I don't know. I just stopped
I
caring about what
mean,
people think.
Exactly.
I can see where you're coming from with that, but I don't you think that they might just be they don't know that you made that assessment and said that, you know what I'm saying? They're trying to hold you accountability to what you said, which is, hey, I'm gonna quit this job and follow my dreams or whatever. I'm gonna quit this job and do this, and that. Who knows what what your ambition was, but they might just be holding you accountable to that angle of you saying, hey, I'm gonna quit my job, man. This shit ain't for me. I'm gonna do this. I think I'm gonna pursue this. And then a week later, they're like, "What's up? I thought you quit your job." He was like, "Nah, I'm gonna stick this out."
I think that there's a way you can do that. So if you actually truly holding somebody accountable, and first of all, if you somebody I'm talking to you about something about like that anyway, if you actually holding me accountable, then it's not a, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. It's not an attack. It's more of a questioning to understand where your mindset is. Make sure that you actually have reset and that you've reassessed what's going on and didn't just put something off. That's different from being around niggas and niggas that hit you with, you said you was doing this. Why you ain't doing that now? Why you still doing this? It's a little bit different because the approach, if you attacking somebody, the approach sometimes to some people they'll do that. And I would say a lot of people actually do that based off of, I said I was gonna do X, Y, Z 10 years ago or however long ago. So I gotta do it. We can't do that. I don't, at least.
What about you,
What
Keith?
about you,
What's your
Keith?
learn?
I had to get rid of a couple, and one of them, and I still kind of got. But I guess growing up in like a town that I grew up in, where like everybody know everybody's shit, a lot of racism, even though we to this day they won't account for that shit at all. But I used to bite my tongue a lot, and I used to care too much about what people thought of me. And it got to a point where I kind of got old. Probably by the time I like got 20, when I started seeing the world and shit, I kind of broke out of that. And it's funny because it's like I'm not outspoken, but just because I speak now, a lot of people where I'm from take that as, I'm outspoken. And he knows everything. He done been somewhere. He think he did something. I'm like, nah. And so a lot of them, like I've lost a lot of friends because of shit that I've said, and it wasn't even nothing serious. People that probably, KP wouldn't fuck with them from my town, but I thought we was
We know who
cool,
that
and
is.
and we
What type of people are those?
and we kind of had to. I kind
Don't
of
try
had
to
to.
get me canceled.
I kind of had to get rid of them because I realized the reason why I cut that out. It was better for me, and they took it as, like I've just changed and I'm changed for the worst. And because I grew up in one of them areas where everybody know your shit, so you judge easily, and that shit can affect you day to day. You got to see the same
Mm.
people all the time, no matter where you go, and shit like that. I've got rid of friends because of that. So that was my two that I've gotten rid of and I've gotten better with. But the one I know is still I got kind of bad is I don't trust people's word for much. And I guess that's for the most part. A lot of people I've dealt with, they'll say they're gonna do some shit and they don't do it. And I don't even ask them why. It's kind of like I don't believe them until they do that shit. I believe it when I see it. That type shit.
Mm.
I I didn't really start seeing that consistent until I was in the military. And it's funny because a lot of people that ain't never been in the military
So
can't
if Mike
understand
told you
it.
he'd quit his job, you wouldn't give a fuck. You'd be like, oh,
Nah, I mean,
show
if
me
he said
then.
if he told me, if I mean, I would
It ain't
like
what he talking about, man. He talking about if somebody was saying they'd do something for him. Look, he trying to.
No, I'm saying I'm using the example though. What you said basically how
but
about
I wouldn't say
and
nothing to
tying
him
it into
about
it.
it. I wouldn't say nothing to him about it 3 days later. Like you said, you was gonna do this. Hey, when he gone, he gone. I'll take his word for it when it happens. So, but I know that's bad, but I mean, I'm still like that to this day. Because I've dealt with a lot of people that's all they do is talk. They talk, and nothing's ever in action. The shit sounds good. You want to make me
Mm.
believe I know you, so you don't have to put on the facade for me. But a lot of man, we live in Atlanta, where a lot of these people that you think are doing shit, these people ain't doing shit.
Home of the
These motherfuckers are
scammers.
renting
Definitely
shit,
scam land.
figuring out how to move this money over here for this to that. And that's why when people come up here, they're like, "Man, are you doing it?" I'm yeah, okay, okay. So, but I'm old, man. Shit, I'm gonna die in about 30 years. I ain't gotta shake it if I don't want to. Shit.
That boy said I'm old. What about
Y'all
you, Mitch?
niggas,
I would say learned behavior for me was like expecting people to treat you the way that you think that you gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think my issue is like I always think people gonna treat me the way that I treat them. So like I give people like the utmost respect, treat people real good, and then I think like I'm gonna get that same treatment in return. When it's like I'm setting myself up for failure, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody ain't gonna treat you the way that you think, you know what I'm saying? And I put a lot of faith in people thinking that they was gonna treat me a certain way because I treated them a certain way and they didn't. I think that was one of the biggest things that I had that as a learned behavior that I had to get away from was just moving away from thinking that everybody's going to treat you the way that you think that you're supposed to be treated. And it's like that ain't how the world works. Like it just ain't realistic. Um, Another learned behavior I think that I had was just like procrastination. Like um I can pick up shit so quick and do stuff so fast when it's I like pressure. So like pressure makes me like excel. Like some people like when they get in a pressure situation, they start panicking. Like for me, pressure makes me like I'm on point. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but then it becomes a drug because it's like, okay, hey, I know I can just fuck off for like 2-3 hours and then try to write this paper at the last minute, and then now you like struggling because you know what I'm saying you didn't put this shit off and you could have just got it done. So that to me that was a bad learned behavior that I had was like procrastinating. Like just get the shit done. You know what I'm saying? Like if I got the time to do it, why not do it and get it over with? And then I can move on to another thing and do something else, be more productive with my time. But because I was able to do things on a last minute basis and it be successful, it almost became like a drug. Like, oh, I'll do that shit, but I'll do it when I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And then like when it came time, it's like, oh, I'm clicked into that mode where I'm hyper, you know what I'm saying? Like hyper focused. And it's like making me but then I'm like, damn, man, I had to stay up all night writing this paper, or I had to stay up all night studying or putting this presentation together or doing whatever. And I could have did that shit a long time ago. And I procrastinated. And that's a bad learned behavior that I had to like, that I'm working on now, that I'm actually like, this whole year has been dedicated to not like procrastinating and doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say I'm gonna do this shit, do it. Sometimes I just be feeling like I'm gonna move on the beat of my own drum. I'm comfortable with it. Like I get there when I get there. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to be that person where it's like, if I'm gonna be late, I'm like, shit, I gotta hurry up and, you know, I'm driving all fast, trying to make up for time. Now, if I'm late, man. Like I see y'all when I see y'all. I'm not gonna, you know, get into an accident or risk my freedom for driving crazy. Yeah, like I ain't gonna do all that shit. So I think those are two things was procrastination and just expecting to get the same out of people that you put into them. You know, because you feel like when you're young, you know, you treat your friends and you like, oh yeah, they're gonna do that, you know, they do that for me. And then when it comes time, they don't, and then now you hurt. So you know what I mean? Like I had to realize that like everybody's not going to treat you the way that you imagine them to treat you. You just have to accept them. Your friendship is based off of how y'all relationship is, and you know, overall, just the energy that y'all give back and forth. But everything is not always going to be perfect, and it's not going to always be how you think it's going to happen in your mind. What about you, KP?
Yeah. I mean, to kind of piggyback off of it, it's crazy that you said that because I wasn't even thinking about that learned behavior. But for a long time, you know, I did I expected people to give me the same energy that I gave people. And I think that shit started to upset me to the point where when I wasn't receiving that, I started shutting down, and I wouldn't communicate with people. I started to isolate myself. And then somebody I spoke to one time once told me that you got to accept people for who they are. You know what I'm saying? You'll have them people that's always gonna be there. You'll have your occasional friends, your occasional family that you know that you'll see them when it's holidays and stuff like that. And then you have some
Mm-hmm.
people that's just it's when it's beneficial to them. Like, hey, we going to a club, we gonna go down, we gonna shoot out to Vegas, and it's a good time with them because like like they enjoying themselves. So you got to accept
Turn up
people
crew.
for who they are, and yeah, and sometimes you don't have to always cut people off because they're not giving you the same energy that you're getting. Like maybe you have them too high on your hierarchy, so you got to bring them down to where they have you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just a
Mm-hmm.
occasional friend, then like stop thinking like, oh, this is the person that I could call when I need something or when I just need to bounce ideas or if I'm struggling with things, you need to understand like you need to scale them down. You know what I'm saying? And I think that because it took me so long to like accept that, that's when I went through like my darkest periods in regards to just isolating myself, not answering the phones. You know, sometimes it's kind of hard for me to return phone calls and stuff like that. So it's still something that I'm trying to learn. And
It definitely
going
make
to
you
what
angry.
Rich, yeah, it does. But it just comes down to like you got to accept people for who they are, and maybe you need to like look into yourself and say, "But I probably got this person a little bit too high up there. Like let me scale them down a few notches or a
Yep.
few levels,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
won't have that type of animosity towards that person. Like they giving you what they could give, or
You right.
they giving
You
you what
right.
they good for, and then
Yep.
ultimately, my original thing was like I had to stop thinking that people. It's so crazy, man. Because like when we think about like they say it's five love languages and stuff like that, man. I always looked at situations like I knew certain people loved me. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though they didn't give me the type of love that I necessarily needed at the time, I felt like, well, I know for a fact that this person loves me. And I'm just talking about from a relationship standpoint where it was like when your girl would be tripping, it's like, bro, what you tripping for? Like, I'm here, ain't I? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm here every day, da, 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 and you think that like these people will understand where you're coming from because of who you are as a person, and you have to realize that you have to start giving people like the love that they could feel. You know what I'm saying, and not the love that you only know how to give. And so that was a learned behavior that I had to really focus on and stuff like that.
What helped
What
you
you
with that?
smiling
Like what
for,
helped
Noah?
you?
Maybe.
What helped you with that? What helped
Just
you get better with those things?
just being in a challenging relationship, man. Like finally being in a relationship where somebody holds you accountable for your actions. That person is not just accepting you for the little the bullshit that you give. You know what I'm saying? Like they really hold your feet to the fire, and they really hold you accountable, and that they're more comfortable with saying, hey, hey, I don't like that. As opposed to like, that's just KP. That's how he is. And so when you start being held accountable to those things, and you're constantly being held accountable, or to the point where that person is like, "Hey, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I hear what you're saying. You love me, but I'm not feeling it. So, if this is how it's gonna be, I gotta take my exit." So once you're in a relationship with somebody that challenges you, then that's
Mhm.
when you'll start to really look into yourself and say, okay, I need to make these changes. So
That's real. That's real. That's a good insight and a real perspective to have. Um, and it actually brings me to our next topic that I wanted to bring up because it's like as a man, when do you realize like this relationship is not going where you want it to go? Because sometimes we can just be in a relationship and just go with the flow, and before you know it, you look up, it's 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, and you like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
20
You just
years.
happy because you got, yeah, like, and you just happy because you got a food, you got, what I'm saying, a place to stay, and you having sex, and you cool with it, like that, you comfortable with it, you know what I'm saying? But overall, it might not be like you might not be totally happy. Some things might be missing. Like as a man, when do you decide, like, yo, this just ain't for me? Like this relationship is not working. When do you decide that enough is enough? And what's your exit strategy when that situation happens?
for
I
Me,
think
myself, man, okay. Go ahead. My fault. Go ahead, Dre.
Go, Dre. What was you gonna say?
nah, I was just
we doing
nah,
that now.
nah. I think a lot of men really don't. It was funny. I was actually talking to my aunt about this earlier, and she was like, "Nah, the motherfuckers don't leave." She said they just stay in and make it harder to the women get up and go. But I mean, I feel like I've seen situations where women do the same thing. I mean, because they more than likely benefiting off the situation. I know I didn't definitely been
I,
in situations personally where I wasn't leaving because I'm like, hey, they're gonna have to get rid of me because I'm living too good over here.
I
That
wanted
sounds
to
like
hear
a
your story, yo. I
womanizer.
wanted to hear. I wanted to hear
I
what you
got
thought too, Dre, because you've been married. You know what I'm saying, 3 times. So, like, what made you when you got divorced in those situations? Like, was that you making a divorce situation, or was that them saying like, "Nah, we can't do this shit no more. This shit ain't working."
The first one was I feel like it was funny because so initially we were supposed to get divorced, right? But I actually so we were supposed to get divorced. I was in the
That boy
military.
looking over his shoulder,
She
ain't
was
he?
no my daughter ran across the street. I ran
Oh,
across the
The
Oh,
hallway,
yeah.
street.
but the
Across the
hallway, you
street.
know how
Yeah.
that. But so we were supposed to get divorced. She was in Iraq. I was in the States. I was basically playing a single role, father role for like the past year, and I was ready to be done. And but when she came back, I was in a meeting, and she was at home with my son, and somebody kicked in the door. They was robbing her house, and she had pulled up during the robbery.
While
So
you in the
when
house, or while she was
no,
there?
they was in the house, basically bringing the stuff out. I was in the
Okay.
meeting at work, and she pulled up with my son while like in the midst of all this. We had like this long driveway. It was like probably like almost 3/4 of a mile long driveway. So like anything that happened back there was game. So she realized she thought we was already on the out, so she thought I had somebody moving my stuff out, but they was really in there robbing us. So when they realized that she lived there and she realized that they was robbing us, it got live. They tried to get in the car and run her down. She had to like grab my son and like dive in the car, and they like hit the car trying to hit her on the way to escape. It was crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So and we, like I said, we were supposed to get divorced. That's when I was actually ready to leave. But then she had she was going through a whole bunch of mental stuff, and she was like, I didn't want to leave my son in that situation because I knew when I left at that time I wasn't gonna be able to take my son with me. So I stayed through that. That's one of the only times I stayed when I was actually ready to leave. But then I actually probably should have left then because I think we ended up staying together like 6, 7 more months, and yeah, it got crazy.
So
I
what
don't
made
even
it
want to say
finally
what happened.
like be over with? Like what made it like finally like be like, man, I can't do this shit no more? Or did she just say I
She
can't do this?
we had kind of semi reconciled, and then she said she wanted a divorce, and I was cool with it, and she was kind of mad that I wasn't mad. So then she started, doing she putting her hands on me. It went left. Just I left the house. I'm not gonna go into the details.
he is a victim.
Yeah,
This
I was a
nigga,
victim.
man.
Well,
But
blame the victim then. He
I had
stayed.
to, yeah.
Victim blaming. He shouldn't have stayed. She put the paws on him.
Oh man, yeah, it got to a crazy spot. She pulled a knife on me. Actually, and I pulled my strap out, and then after that, I was like, yeah, we just need to,
This
we
ain't
haven't.
it, huh?
What they saying? It's crazy now because now she's like one of my best friends. So, but then the second one, man,
Y'all had to get some straightening.
yeah, that second relationship, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. She wanted to separate. I was like, nah, I'm not trying to separate. Like, I don't understand separation personally. I was like, either we gonna work on it or I'm out. And she was like, nah, I just want to separate. I was like, nah, we either gonna work on it or I'm out. And she was like, I want to separate. I went and drew up the divorce papers that day and had them for her
Yeah,
the next morning. And she was like, oh, this is something you've been planning. I was like, nah, I just did that. And I think we got divorced in the span of 3 weeks. It was over with. And that was like a 4 or 5 year
crazy.
relationship.
Because you saying you want to
Yeah,
separate,
it is.
but you don't want to divorce. Like to me, that's like calling it quits in a sense. Like, you know what I'm saying?
The
Like
separation?
she was
Yeah, I
talking about
mean,
like moving out. When she's saying separating, to me, that means like I'm moving out to another place. You're gonna be in this place, and then we just
yeah.
gonna, you know what I mean? Like what the fuck
But
we doing?
it wasn't no plan, action. I was like, so you just want to be separate. It's not like you just want like trying to go do you real quick, which is cool if that's what you want to do. But like, you need to let me know what type of time you want. And she's like, nah, I just want to separate right now. I was like, nah, you sound like you trying to use me to set up for the next life. I'm gonna go ahead. You go ahead and start living that right now, baby girl. I got
Yeah,
up out of there.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about you, KP?
Nah, I ain't never been in a situation where I could bounce. Like I'm a serial like, hey, I mean, I would like to think that therapy has now put me in a position where I'm able to do that, but um, nah, I was famous for like, oh, I'm gonna act an ass, I'm gonna act a donkey until you bounce because I didn't know how to hurt people's feelings. I didn't know how to just be like, hey, this ain't working. Da, 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 da. Like,
But
you know,
theoretically, you was hurting their feelings because you was acting the ass. So that was creating conflict.
Passive
Niggas
aggressive.
wasn't happy.
Maybe you just
yeah,
ain't want to
but
be direct.
yeah, I struggle with being direct in the sense of like, this ain't gonna work. So I was being as toxic as possible to the point where, you had to pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot easier for you to be like, dang, all right, then for you to sit back. And I just hate seeing women cry. Like, bro, bro, why are you doing this to me? Like, bro, come
So
on.
you
So
never wanted to be the bad
if
guy.
she in a position, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like,
So when you break up over
I'd
text.
rather you. No, yeah,
That's
I
the
don't be
worst
doing
guy.
all
Over
that.
text.
You don't want
Yeah,
to see him cry?
nah,
Is that
I
FaceTime.
couldn't do
What if
that,
you
man.
FaceTime?
Turn your camera on.
Nah, this is your answer and stuff. So yeah, for me, I just always just did fuck shit until they made their
Oh, so
decision,
he was a
and then
fuck
it was
nigga.
just like, damn,
You
something
heard
like
that,
that.
Keith? He was one. He was one of the
Yeah,
fuck niggas.
I was.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Man,
saying? And then it's just a lot. It's a lot easier to exit a relationship like that than to break somebody's heart. You know,
it's easier for you.
do your thing, dude.
The
Yeah,
younger me was on that
that's
type
all
of
I care
time.
about in the end. I mean,
I can't do that no more
yeah,
though.
So you would be in a relationship and really like be suffering, like not even want to be in this relationship, but because you couldn't tell her or vocalize this, you would still be in a relationship. You just make it hard for her. You would just act out and just be like,
in my
just make the
defense,
whole relationship. I'm
yeah,
just trying
in
to
my
understand like
defense, what I
what was going
yeah,
on.
in my defense, I had some logic to this. You know what I'm saying? That's why I also never backpedaled to. I never backpedaled to exes because I stayed into relationships to the point where I was completely exhausted. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit, I had nothing to give. A lot of niggas then backtrack or on some slick shit, fuck they ex. You know what I'm saying? When years later and stuff like that. Like my kids' moms, I never slipped up with them. And like once it was over, it was over. Like I exhausted myself, so I never had that what if feeling, or I never felt like we there was some tables left unturned. Like it was done. Like I was exhausted, and I felt like I did so much fuck shit. Like they wasn't like, oh, come back. You know what I'm saying? So we both was like, hey, we exhausted. So we never backtracked. So that's I felt like I had some logic.
So what helped you get out of that? Like, can you do that now? Like if you was in a relationship now, right?
Well, I
Would you be able to say like, hey, this
I
ain't working
am
for me?
I am. I don't know. I would like to think so. I haven't been in a position where I've felt that way, so I can't say, but I would like to think that with all the counseling and stuff and just being in a communicative relationship that would be an easy thing. So
I don't think it's gonna be
that's
easy,
just me.
but I think you'll be able to
I
do it.
don't think it's
Thank you.
easy, but I think that it's easier for me to like
Be direct.
express myself and not be
Fuck boy.
not be not oh yeah, I didn't
See,
want to
I
say
was thinking it.
that. I didn't want to say
Damn.
that. Yeah. I was thinking of synonyms, nigga. Like, you couldn't think of one synonym. Like,
2 words.
So
yeah.
what you think, Mike?
Destructive. Yeah.
How you think about that situation? What's your thoughts on that shit?
Man, I've been.
And have you ever been, yeah, I know you have, but you said at one point in time
You're not about.
that was
Yeah, relive some of that trauma for us, Mike. Take us down. What it look like to live through that?
Nah, I'm not about. So I'll tell you what it feel to live through, or what it feel to see. We not about. I'm not gonna get too specific, but counseling and really actually reflecting on who I am as a person has made me stay with the same person for 20 years because one single reason. It's not about anything tangible. Fuck, nigga. He's always laughing for. It's not by anything tangible or none of that. She actually just made me a better person, and that's not no cliche stuff neither. I mean, in the sense of I was a fuck nigga, but not just necessarily for women.
I'm just
I was
surprised
a
at
fuck
you
nigga.
saying that because I remember us having a pod, not earlier
ahead.
pod, and you saying that people couldn't make you better. You had to make yourself better. Ain't that what he said, Dre? Do we have to pull up the
Do
archives?
you
He
want
said some
me?
shit
Look,
like
that's
that.
what we don't. So
Me
we
and you was the ones that was.
we running back that. Okay. So
Hey man, we just trying to stay current. That's all.
she can't make me better if I ain't working on myself though.
Oh no,
So
no, he said
now.
she couldn't make him happy.
I did say that. That's
Okay.
exactly what I said. So
Isn't better
but
happy?
But she can't make me better either if I don't reflect and I'm not open to the fact that I'm a fuck nigga. You know, almost like KP just said, he knew he was doing fuck shit, but until he actually saw it, it don't matter what anybody else say to you. Honestly, if you don't really see it as you doing fuck shit,
Yeah,
you know?
he had to see that he was being a fuck boy before he could improve on that.
All right, come on, y'all doing way too much with this.
All right.
KP, I ain't mean it like that. I was just
Yeah. Andre trying to pour it.
Mike
on.
disagreed that he was
I
being a
appreciate
fuck nigga. He
Yeah,
just came
yeah.
to the realization that he ain't a fuck nigga no more. So
I still got fuck nigga
Not
tendencies.
as much as one.
I think
Not as
everybody
much.
got
You
fuck
toned
nigga
it down.
tendencies. I think everybody got
down.
fuck nigga tendencies. I'll kind of wrap it up for the 20 years in like a story that occurred with us. So just the type fuck nigga I was. So me and my baby mama at the time, I'm 19 years old. And we not together at the point in time, or that's what I would say. We had ends at that point in time. So I was real
break.
Yeah, so no, it wasn't even a break. It was fuck you type stuff. It wasn't no we discussed this a break. It was fuck you. So
because of you or because of her? Did she say fuck you or did you say fuck her?
It take two.
Okay.
I mean, we was both saying fuck you and fuck you. You know.
Okay, I just wanted it was mutual then. So it was a mutual.
Yeah. So at around this time, my daughter was about to be 3 years old already at that time. So I was a selfish motherfucker. And what I mean by that is I would do. Man, I ain't never been selfish with you, nigga. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I was on mute. My bad.
Let's stick on the story, man. Getting distracted.
Exactly. He throwing shots at everybody, man. All right, look.
But don't worry about that, nigga. Tell your story, man. We trying to hear the story.
Yeah, I was a real selfish motherfucker. So even things that was illogical, I would do. So I'm drunk. I'm at this little Civitan party. I don't know if y'all know like Lions clubs and Legions and all that shit. We just had them little parties where you go in there, you can drink if you was on 21, you do whatever. And this is why it's important for me about the not keeping it real and all of that stuff. Cause I wasn't at that mindset at that time. And I mean, they're just having a good old time. I ain't even thinking about Kim. And one of them got into my head. I ain't gonna say their name. One person I thought was a friend, and started having me thinking like she riding around in the car that I'm paying for. And I was like, okay, well, I ain't gonna take the car. So this me being illogical. So I ain't gonna take the car. But this is what I was thinking at the time. I said, but that bitch gonna have to get her own tags. So I left. The Legion. It was actually a Civitan. I left the Civitan to drive over to where she was at. She was at her grandma's house. And I proceeded to start taking the tags off the car. Now, mind you, this fact. So, mind you, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing it in no quiet way neither. I wasn't trying to be quiet about it. So when I got
drunk,
out
right?
the car,
you drunk, kind of right? Like you had just been drinking or whatever.
Yeah, I'm got a little in me, but that ain't no excuse because I think that alcohol really just enhances and makes you do things that you would probably already do. So
I agree. I'm just saying that you were drunk, so it just came out.
Oh yeah.
You being loud.
So I got out the car. I got out the car, slammed the door. I didn't get out the car, just get out and go try to take the tag. I got out the car, slammed the door, went over there, started taking the tag off. So Kim comes out with her aunt, and then she don't know what I'm doing. She's like, "What is you doing?" She comes to the back of the car. She's like, "What you doing?" I said, "Well, you could have." This makes no damn sense at all. But I said, "Well, you can have the car, but I don't know how your ass gonna drive around with no tags." So I took the tag off the car, and I go back to get in the. Yeah, I was. I go back to get in the car, and my wife gets in too. Well, my baby mama at the time gets in too, and she won't get out the car. And that's when it was a 10-piece combo. She was 10-piecing me up. And I was like, okay, well, you don't want to get out the car? She had the door, but I just drove off. I said, well, until you get out the car, we're going to keep riding around in a circle. So I rode around the neighborhood probably about 4 or 5 times. Her arguing, talking about I need the license plate. So finally, I stopped back front of her grandma's house. She won't get out. I said, you ain't going to get out? Okay. Because I'm not a yeller. So, but I say some things that are cut. So I get out the car. I said, you ain't going to get out? She said, nah. She said, nah, I ain't going to get out. I said, all right. Illogical, right? I'm paying for this car. I go to the passenger side and I kick the window in. She jumped out the car then because she talking shit to her aunt, talking about, call the police, call the boys, call. And I got in the car and drove off. I went back to my mama's house. This a Friday. About an hour and about 30 minutes later, because I'm in the bed.
You left your car there, or you kicked your car out? I'm confused. You said you were taking the place off.
I own that car. So.
What about the car that you drove there though? What happened to that?
Oh, that was my mama's car.
Okay.
So I drove back to my mama's house.
Oh, you staying with your mama?
No, we had
19.
You taking it too deep. No, I wasn't. So I was.
Damn.
We was in an apartment too. I'm trying to make the story a little shorter than what it was. It was bad. We was in an apartment together. We shared a car together. All those types of things, right? And it just was not going good. So I went back to my mama's house because I wasn't going back to the apartment. And then about 90 minutes later, the police come, Johnson County, North Carolina, come. They knock on the door, and they like, is there Mr. Hayes here? And my mama hysterical, talking about what he done did, blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, we got allegation of battery on a female, domestic violence, and we're going to have to take him down to get booked in. So they took me down to Johnson County in Smithfield, North Carolina. And this how I know it's bad too, because they red stamp your shit when it's domestic. It's like it's said on there. And I stayed in there until Monday. And this is how I knew that I was tripping. I stayed in there till Monday, and I stopped listening to other people too. I stayed in there till Monday, and while I was in there, I was sitting there thinking about why I was mad, why I was petty, and why things were pissing me off. And it was at that point in time, at 19, I realized that I had taught myself or told myself that I had made sacrifices, but I had made sacrifices that nobody had asked me to make, you know? So I was blaming my mama. I was blaming people like my wife now. I was even blaming my daughter for where I thought I should be at that point in time. So long story short, she come into court and she just leave. She ain't go out there and testify, nothing like that. And then after that, we started talking back as just friends and actually started to get to know each other for where we were at that point in time. And that's when I went on to the military without telling nobody. And the rest is kind of history. But I say all that to say the reason I knew when I was going to stay, because I can't say it from a standpoint of when I was going to leave, is when I knew that it was going to be somebody that actually wanted the best for me. They might not necessarily always may be able to give me the best. Sometimes they might not even be able to give me 100% of themselves all the time. But knowing that they care about the things that I'm trying to do almost as much as I care about those things I'm trying to do, I don't think you can buy that nowhere. So that's why I stay, even when I'm pissed off on some days and I want to be petty. So.
So they arrested you without any real evidence?
Yes, this is Johnson County, North Carolina. Yes.
That's crazy. I'm just thinking because, like, you know, if cancer culture, you know, was really prevalent back then, you could have got canceled. Like, nigga could have canceled you. Like, oh, this nigga, he got a domestic, you know what I mean? And now you know the whole story.
Yeah, driving around in circles.
Yeah, let's drive around, start kicking windows out. Let's cancel this nigga. Get him out of here.
Yeah, I tell that story because when I joined the Army, I had to tell him about it. There was like he was arrested for domestic, and I was like, "Yeah, that was my baby mom's. We good and all this and all that." And I had to get a waiver to actually come in because of the type of charge it was or whatnot. But I mean, it could have went differently in the sense of if I would have did what my attorney that my mom got me. It's one of the one things my mom did for me, but we talk about it and we talk about it in a joking way, but we serious. I think she did it because it was against what I was trying to do. You know, it was against me and my wife being together at that time. It's done since changed, but at that time. And my attorney was like, just go to these anger management classes and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I can't plead. I can't be doing that with no domestic. I'm not going to be able to, if I ever want to get scholarships, they might not give me that. I said, I'm trying to do other things.
Boy,
So,
was still thinking about football. I feel you.
and at 19,
Booby Miles.
fuck y'all, man. But I was thinking about that. That was one thing I gave up too. But yeah, like I wasn't about to plead to none of that. I'd rather her actually go up there and say something and then they find me guilty than me to really willingly just plead to something like that, knowing what the effects is for the rest of your life. Nah, I wasn't about to do that. So I think choices matter, and that was just a choice I made. It wasn't one my mom was trying to make. She was like, go to these 12 classes and you'll be all right. No, I'm not doing that. So even though I probably needed them, but I wasn't doing that. But ever since then, it's been 20 years. Well, since then, it's been 17 years. And she always show up. I mean, she show up to go see niggas when I ain't even there. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. That don't sound right. She go up to go see niggas that celebrate. Weird. She go up to go see niggas to celebrate, you know, they children's accomplishments when I'm not even there. So that's just something she do. So, and she always just been a good person.
What about you, Keith?
Damn, who chair is that?
It's mine.
I'm not even gonna front. I
don't. That story didn't rock me to sleep. I had to make sure I was up. This long ass story almost rocked the nigga to sleep.
Nigga, you the one kept telling me to tell the story.
I know, I'm just fucking with you.
I don't have the relationship probably history that y'all got even being older, because I never, like when I was like where I'm from, where I was younger, nobody really was ever in relationships. You had the dope boys that had their chicks that was just around for you know what reason, and then everybody else, man, it was just like wild, drunken, young sex where I was from. So nobody was on no relationship shit. It was just motherfuckers was pregnant at early ages. So my shit is on the lines of KP shit.
Orgy shit.
I mean, dog, where I'm from, the only people that really stuck together, you will see white people have relationships in high school and marry coming straight out of high school. Outside of that, you didn't see any of that. Like, I never even really saw none of my niggas with both their parents. So my shit was on the line of KP shit where I was doing fuckboy shit. I just didn't see it. Because my first relationship, I was in the Air Force. You know, I was on my own then. I was doing a little shit. I thought I had a little bit of money in my pockets. And I was dating a chick that was like 2 ranks higher than me. And she was serious. I didn't even look at it as being that. So I was still like going to strip clubs and shit. She would be driving out her way to come to the dorm. You don't see a motherfucker that lives off base drive to the dorm to be hanging outside in the parking lot waiting for a nigga like that. I wouldn't
y'all call y'all shit dorms?
Damn. Well, whenever I was airman, it was a dorm.
Yeah, I know that's what they call it.
They live a better life.
You said you don't see. I used to see that all the time, baby. And when I was private, I used to have them barracks was popping.
See, because I never went on the Army or Navy base or Marine base, so I never even saw how the other ones work. So I thought that everybody's shit was like, oh,
we living like shit.
But yeah, she used to come to the dorms to see me. I used to talk to her outside. Then I'd probably go out with some of the young niggas on the way we going to the strip club, do some crazy shit, some shit like that. But it ended up where she left, and it's funny because I didn't even really take it. Like, I didn't even take it bad or nothing. I was just like, all right, because I think she ended up getting another duty station. So it ain't like she was going to be around anyway. And I ended up getting out of the Air Force. And it's funny because I got in contact with her recently, and she's one of the, I guess you could say, earthy now. And I know it wouldn't work at all. But besides her, the other one, I knew I should have been got out. I've only been in 2. And the other one was the one that was dragged going.
How long How long were both of them relationships?
The first one was probably about a year and a half, if that. But the second one was 3. And the second one should have ended long before 3. That was a motherfucker here that almost got me in the shootings and stabbings every time we went out, because she couldn't just take, like, people would approach her, males would approach her here. Like, we could go in the store. I would be on the other side of the store. A male would approach her, try to talk to her, and she just wouldn't be like, I'm with him or whatever. She'd talk to the motherfucker like he this big. And then so I'm over there looking while she wagging a finger in the nigga face and shit. And I'm like, here we go. It was like that every time we went out. It was not one time we went out. That was the one I told you wanted me to go slap somebody.
Yeah. So what took you so long to be like, come to the realization like, this ain't for me? Like, what took you so long to say
pussy was fire? That's what it was.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. That's what it was, man. And I knew that's what it was. I was like,
the pussy was that good that you was just like, man, I'm gonna stick this shit out. I don't even care if this girl crazy and she got me fighting niggas like I'm Mike Tyson.
It never got to that, because it never got to that. I was like, I can take it, but eventually it got to the point where I didn't want to be around her and shit no more. I didn't even like when she didn't want to come over. I didn't care, because I was like, I felt other than I like, whew, they got dodged one today.
So did you end it or did she end it?
She ended it, and I wasn't mad either. I don't know. I played. I say I played, but the shit hurt at first because I was like, I wanted to end this. I should have been ended this shit. But after a while, when I thought about it, I wasn't mad at all. I wasn't mad at all. Nigga, I don't know if this sounds bad, but I had a lot more money in my pockets. I was out all the time. I ain't have to worry about no violence, none of that shit. So I was good. But I ain't been in one since then. And I know KP tried to say, being single is trash. To each their own, buddy. Because I'm straight.
You need a serious relationship, my boy.
Don't say no. Don't
genuine.
Don't wish that on me.
Relationship. You just gonna hold it out to the end.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to build a relationship with my child for right now. That's the only one I'm really focused on.
Hey, that's real. I mean, if that's your goal, and that as long as I feel like as long as you being honest with people and they ain't got no expectations, like this nigga gonna be my nigga, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ain't telling, because I went to school with a nigga and he used to have every girl that he talked to was his girlfriend. I'm like, damn, nigga, how many girlfriends you got? The nigga got like 8 girlfriends. Like, bro, come on.
We didn't go to school together.
Too much. This nigga KP had 8 girlfriends. Tell everyone he loved them
whatever they needed to hear.
Man, fuck no, that's crazy. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that.
Y'all say y'all take that I love you serious, or y'all just say it?
No, I
say it.
I think when I was younger, I didn't take I love you serious. It was more like I'll say it to get some pussy at that time. You know what I'm saying? Like 18, younger, whatever. Then when I got a little bit older, I realized the power behind that shit. I'm like, I ain't just telling anybody I love them if I don't really love them. Like, that don't make no sense. Like, I'm not just going to tell somebody I love them, or I ain't going to tell somebody I want to be in a relationship with them if I don't want to be in a relationship with them. That, to me, that just, it's unfair, because you setting the expectation in their mind that you want a certain thing, and this person is going to gravitate towards that. And in all actuality, you don't want that. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that you want. You just saying it because you think that they cool with it and they're gonna go along with it. And in the long term, you're gonna hurt that person's feelings because you never was fully invested in the relationship. So I tried not to get into that. I've been in like relationships where, you know what I'm saying, like I stuck out in the relationship just because I thought that I really cared about this person. I really wanted to make the shit work. Like how you were saying you exhausted all the situations. I did that before. I never like stuck in a relationship knowing that it was a dead end relationship and it's time for me to move on. Like once it's time for me to move on, I got to move on. But it's been relationships that I have been in that I thought like this shit ain't gonna never end, or I want this shit to work. I'm gonna make it work. And it didn't end up working. You know what I'm saying? And that was just a harsh reality. But overall, I think as men, I think sometimes we get comfortable with being in situations and, like you say, not being the bad guy. Or we're not even emotionally intelligent to even tell them like, hey, I don't think this relationship gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Because if we were emotionally intelligent enough to tell them that, it would let them down a little bit easier versus doing fuck shit, expecting them to break up with you. And then you like, well, if you don't want to be with me, leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, you doing fuck shit. Like, you don't want to be with this person, just leave. Like, ain't nobody holding nobody together at the end of the day. Like, if you don't want to be with that person, sometimes you just gotta let them know. Like, my last relationship that let me know, like, I didn't want to be with this person, it was just a toxic situation. And the shit just got to the point where it's like, this shit ain't it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna continue to be in this toxic ass situation. I like this girl. She's cool. We had a real good vibe, you know what I'm saying? But it was certain things that I was just kept coming back. It just kept coming back. And you know, even when we would communicate and try to fix it, it still would come back. And it was like, it got to the point where it's like, this shit ain't gonna never change. This is what it's gonna be. Like, I can't keep expecting this shit to change when this is who she is as a person. And this is not going to change. You know what I'm saying? I had to come to the realization, like, no matter how much I like this person, no matter how much I think that, you know what I'm saying, this relationship could possibly change in the future, it's not going to change because the same situation keeps popping up. The same situation keeps occurring. And it got to the point where it's like, and the situation was so, it became so toxic that I wasn't even myself anymore. So when I felt like I wasn't able to be myself anymore, it's like, I gotta get the fuck up out of this relationship. Like, I'm getting angry. I'm frustrated. I don't even want to be around you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was just making me, it was just too toxic. And I had to step away from that situation. And once I did, I felt like a better person. And even after that, we even tried to like reconcile, like maybe like 6 months later, you know what I'm saying? And as soon as we tried to do the shit, like, she just showed me again why I shouldn't be fucking with her. And I was like, damn. I knew I shouldn't have did that shit. I knew I shouldn't even gave her no chance. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like trying to be compassionate. Like, maybe she worked on herself. And I did, like I said, I did care about her. She was a good person. But it was just that one situation that we just could never get over. And a lot of the situations that she had were, you know, some insecurity issues that it just kept coming back into the relationship. And eventually I just had to put my foot down and like, and then also I became more emotionally intelligent as well. I think I went to go see a therapist, like y'all said, and I was able to process my thoughts and I was able to like think about things. And then once I learned how to like, I think I've always kind of been emotionally intelligent, but it's just having more courage to be open and say like, this shit ain't working. You know what I'm saying? I care about you, baby, but I don't really think this relationship is going to work. And as much as it hurts, I just think that you would be better with a better person in the long run. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I might be better with a better person. And to me, that's unconditional love in a sense too, because you are actually allowing this person to be with somebody that's actually really supposed to be with them, or, you know what I mean, might do better than you, because at the end of the day, you don't really love that person as much as you thought you did, or the relationship might not even work because it's just, you can't put like certain, like, you know what I'm saying? If I go to my neighbor's door and try to stick my key in their hole, that lock is not going to fit. So certain relationships is like that. That shit is just not, it's not a good fit. No matter how hard you try to stick that key in that hole and unlock that door, it's just not going to fit. And you just have to be like cognitive of that and aware, like, yeah, this shit ain't going to work. And I can't continue to do this because it's not going to end well.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I think just a lot of that stuff just comes with age and just situations that we've been through, you know, relationships that we've been through, growth, you know, as men, and just learning from past mistakes, past relationships, and things like that. You know, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. So, you know, you got to figure it out from there. You know, and then with that being said, we are now at the end of our lovely episode. Man, I hope y'all tune in next Tuesday. We're going to continue to do our things. Again, always like and subscribe. You know, we got a couple of the guys' channels. I got a Finsta, so y'all can't get on that. But always, you know, any type of topics or anything that you guys want, you know, definitely put it in the comments so we can attack the topic and give you our insight on it. All right. It's been love. Peace.
Peace.
peace.